Today I'm doing a live on 5 signs you're in a romance scam online, or it could be over the telephone. But there's 5 signs that you're in a romance scam. A romance scam is usually when people that you've never met before reach out to you, or you reach out to them online. They end up falling in love with you, and proceed to then scam you out of money and just basically deceive you, and invite you into some emotional turmoil. So romance scams. So I mean, let's just say that 3/4 of the world are lonely. Loneliness is a huge issue at the moment. So many people are feeling lonely. So many people feel disconnected from society in general, especially if you're not very competent in using technology. But as well as loneliness being on the rise, we've also got these romance scams on the rise, which is a reflection of the times we're in. Romance scams are underreported, which means it does happen a lot more than what we're officially notified of. And to be honest, romance scams can happen to anybody. So, there's no judgment here. Romance scams can happen to anyone. In 2023, there was a report that states that the amount of money lost in romance scams is $3 million per day. So I'm just gonna go through the 5 signs of a romance scam. What I'll do, I'll go through it very quickly, and then I'll go back and expand on each point. So the first sign is moving too quickly. I don't believe people can fall in love within a week. Yeah, I don't. I don't believe people can fall in love within a week, especially if you haven't met one another. I know it can happen. I'm not saying it can't ever happen. I'm just very cynical about that. I do not believe someone is able to fall in love with me within a week without ever having meeting me. So one of the first signs is the person is moving too quickly. So this would mean that they're making great declarations of love, that they're making all these type of vows, that they're love bombing you, like just giving you lots of positive comments and declarations very early on. So the first sign is moving too quickly, because I do not believe that anybody can fall in love within a week, especially if they've never met you. Second side is avoiding FaceTime. So some people, yes, are shy. Some people do not like doing FaceTime calls. Some people don't enjoy being, making up videos to send people. But I will say that avoiding FaceTime calls, avoiding videos, avoiding real time visuals is a red flag. So I would say the second point is avoiding, like, identifying who they are. I'll say that's the second sign. So number one is moving too quickly. Number two is avoiding FaceTime and videos. Number three is trying to isolate you. So if you have somebody online that states that they're in a relationship with you, however, they're trying to isolate you, they're telling you not to tell anybody, they're telling you, to keep them a secret, they're telling you, oh, this person won't understand, that person won't understand, I will say that is a red flag. Because why are they trying to keep you a secret? And why can't you tell your best friend about them? Why can't you tell your family? So I would say, in trying to isolate you is a red flag. Hello, Hello, Rukia. I hope you're well. I hope you've had a good weekend and you are enjoying your Sunday. We've got lovely weather here at the moment. What's the weather like where you are? Okay. So the next red flag, thank you. So the next red flag is that the person is always making an emotional appeal. Okay? Yeah, the weather is really hot, but it's really nice. I think we should enjoy it before the rain comes along. But yeah, so the other red flag is that they're always making an emotional appeal. And what I mean by this is that they're always trying to trigger your sympathy or your empathy. Hi, trendy videos. Hello, Barkley Horton. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all enjoying your weekend. So the fourth red flag, which can be an indication of, yeah, of course I do. How do you know I'm not within the community? Of course I do. Yeah, so the other red flag is that they're always trying to trigger your sympathy or empathy. And what I mean by that is that they might say, yes, obviously, you know, genocide is inhumane. It's very sad, and we're just lucky that we're not in that situation. Really, do you know what I mean? We're just lucky that we're not over there. But yeah, I'm a you know yeah, it's really sad what's going on. I do, okay, let me just put it out there. I do support Palestine, and I also support Israel. I support Iran. I support the Christians in Nigeria that were butchered recently. I support, I just support people in pain. I always try to, I'm a humane person. Nobody wants to see children being hurt. Nobody wants to see, you know, and we're all lucky that we're not in that same situation. So of course I support, you know. You're 9. Okay. 9? Okay. Right. So going back to the red flags. So, you know, during a romance during a thank you for liking the live. During a romance scam, they the person is always trying to trigger your like sympathy, always trying to trigger your empathy, you know. Last year of 1 digit. Yeah, now you're gonna be 10. Oh, but don't wish your life away. Make sure you enjoy every single age, because there's gonna be things about being 9 that you're gonna miss when you turn 10. I'm sure there's gonna be things that you're gonna miss. So enjoy every single year. Make the most of it before you move on, because there will be things that you'll miss. But yeah, your last year of 1 digit. I hope you've enjoyed. But yeah, so they're always trying to trigger emotional appeals in that they'll be like, oh yeah, I've been bereaved, or oh my gosh, I lost my job, or my car broke down, or oh, I'm not able to get to my bank account, or oh, there was a flood in my house. So another red flag is that they're always trying to trigger sympathy or empathy. They're always like trying to make an emotional appeal. And also there's always like an emerging crisis. So there's always something bad that's about to happen. Oh, I'm feeling unwell. I've had to go into hospital. Oh, I lost my job. So it's a very sophisticated technique, but it's like they're just sowing seeds for the moment, for when they ask for money, because they're very sophisticated. They're not going to ask for money out of nowhere. They're just going to start sowing seeds, or just start off they're just going to start the story of a drama unfolding, you know, unraveling. And the last red flag I would say is they ask for money. So the red flags is that they move too quickly. You know, they're in love with, within the second hour of interacting with you online, they're in love with you. They want to go halfway across the world to meet you. They avoid FaceTime. They avoid real life interactions. They avoid making videos for you. They try to isolate you. They'll be telling you, don't tell anybody about us. Don't tell anybody about our conversations. Don't tell anybody, you know. So they try and isolate you. There's always an emergency. So there's always like they start sowing seeds of, you know, like bad news. So they don't immediately talk about the bad news, but they start to sow the seeds, or they create an emerging thank you for subscribing, trendy videos. What do you know about LBGTQ if you're 9 years old? Just out of interest. At age 9, why are you asking me about LGBTQ plus? Hmm? Enjoy being a child. Yeah? Just enjoy being a child. Enjoy the world around you. You know, you're 9. You've got your whole life ahead of you. You know, you've got, you know, learning about yourself, learning about other people. You know, just enjoy your childhood. Don't feel pressured in any way, shape, or form to conform in any instance to anything. But yeah, just enjoy being a child, and just, you know, it's your last year of 1 digit. So just enjoy being a child, you know. Enjoy being a child. Yeah, so those are the red flags, and there are some patterns. Um, there are some patterns of a romance scam. So some romance scams are from people that pretend to be in the military. So they pretend to be in the army. They pretend. Okay, so some people pretend to be in the military, the Navy, the Marines. Thank you for liking the lives. I don't play Fortnite. No, I don't. Thank you for subscribing. Yes, I support LGBTQ plus. How do you know I'm not part of that community? And thank you for your compliments. But anyway, yeah. So some people, like during the romance scams, some people pretend to be in the military. Some people might pretend to be a widow or widower. You know, like some people, they just try and make themselves seem more respectable, but by claiming to be in one of those circumstances. Some people might say that they're a doctor, they're a pilot, they're an engineer on an oil rig somewhere. So some people try and the the first project is to build trust. So what some of these people do in the romance scams is that they want to build trust with you. So that's the primary focus, just building trust. Their aim is to exploit your emotions financially. So that's the end game. So in the first instance, they want to build trust. Sometimes this can take weeks, it can take months, it can take years. You know, there's some romance scams that are in it for the long haul. You know, they will persevere, and we've been able to find out, and I'm sure some of you have seen it as well. There are actual like call centers full of people involved in the romance scam. So they have access 24 hours a day. You know, they're working across the timelines. right? And so across the time zones. So, you know, it's you versus a whole team of people, oftentimes in a call center, you know, and not always the same person. So you don't realize that this is shift work for them. They're just on shift. There's a rota. So that's why it can be quite exhausting, and the journey to build a trust can be so relentless. Building trust. Also, as well, when people are saying nice things to you, we do have some chemical releases. It's like when you eat sweets or chocolate, or you have some takeaway, or you know, say if you watch a really good movie and you've got your snacks with you, just that feeling. It's just such a nice feeling, and there's some chemicals released in your system which makes you feel good, and as well as feeling good, it can become addictive. So I go swimming. I try and go at least once or twice a week, and the endorphins that are released in my system when I finish make me feel so good and energized and positive, and it's such a good feeling. There's also is it dopamine, dopamine, oxytocin. There's all these different chemicals that can be addictive, that can make you feel so good. So if you have somebody online that's saying nice things about you, that's trying to build up trust, that's just being really just, you know, and you're lonely to begin with, all these things are addictive. It's like going through our phones and just scrolling through social media. It's addictive. You can be on the internet for hours and not realize it's so addictive. And so, having a companion online that's saying nice things about you, that's asking you about your day, that's showing an interest, can be addictive. So, it is easy to be, you know, taken in by a romance scam for those reasons as well. Okay. Even though even though it's easier said than done, it is advisable to tell your friends, or at least tell one person about the relationship you got going on online, because having an outsider privy to what the person's saying is is very helpful, and they can point out red flags if you decide not to see them. For example, if somebody online is asking for money and you've told your friend about this, they will most definitely say to you, that is a scam. But when you're in your own little world and you're isolated and no one else knows about what's going on, I believe it's easier for you to comply with any unreasonable requests. Yeah. So, as much as you can, try and tell at least one person about the person you've met online and about your interactions. So, at the beginning, as with the sextortion, they'll be friendly, they'll be flirty, they'll be very kind, they'll be showing an interest. However, after some time of sowing the seeds of an emergent crisis, one day they will ask you for money, and before they ask you for money, they might start fishing, and they might actually make comments to you whereby they try and find out how much money you have. So they might have comments like, oh, you know, you're always doing overtime at work, you must have a lot of money, you know. Or they may say, oh, you're going on holiday, that's really good, it's really expensive going to this country or that country, you must have a lot of money. So, you know, sometimes in a roundabout way, they try and fish to find out how much money you have access to. When they do ask you for money, they will try and ask you in a they will try and ask you as a matter of emergency. They will try and ask you so you think it has to be rushed. So they'll be like it will be time sensitive. They'll be like, oh, I need this amount of money. Oh, I need it now. I need it for my car. My car's broken down. Do you have the money? You need to send it to me. So they try and create a sense of urgency to just throw you, so you don't have enough time to actually think. So they'll ask you for money. Another reverse psychology thing that they might do is they may tell you that they want to send you some gifts. They may tell you they want to send you, oh, I want to send you a gift, I want to send you a gift. Please be careful, because they may be trying to get your address, okay? So sometimes it's because that they're trying to get your address. So if they're saying, oh, I want to send you a gift, I want to send you a gift, think twice, because they might be after your address. Another thing is they may say that they're going to send you a gift, they're going to send you this, they're going to send you that. However, they may turn around and then say, oh, but I need you to pay the shipping costs. So could you now give me this amount of money to cover the shipping costs? Okay, so be mindful of those factors. Um, Also, as well, in this day and age, we all know that AI is doing its thing, and with the online romance scams, they, you know, somebody has created a fake persona tailor made for you. So, it could be human and it could be AI, to be fair, but it's just a tailor made fake persona. Once they ask you for money, if you decide that you don't want to give them money, their tone might change. They might start being rude to you. They might start trying to bully you. And to be fair, they can only get away with as much as you allow them to. So remember that you need to put down the boundaries. But if you do decline to send them money, they may start trying to bully you. Or if you do send them money, they may start trying to pressure you to send more. These are sophisticated techniques that are in that are sometimes in it for the long haul. Sometimes you get people that are just trying to get a lick, and they're just trying to get money out of you and disappear. Then you have other types that are in it for the long term, and they adopt a drip 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 type of scam, where every so often they're asking you for money on a regular basis, whereby others, they're just going to hit a lick and then disappear. So choose your poison. So a lot of these romance scams are, a lot of the pictures are fake. Like, the pictures are not fake, but a lot of the pictures are just from the internet. Like, it's not an actual real picture. It's just a picture of the internet. So what you can do is, if you search for their profile picture on the internet, you'll be able to see whether or not it's just a stock picture, or whether it's, a real life picture. But do you know what I mean? Like on Google Images, you can get like images of just like everyday people. Yeah. So some scammers, they might actually just use a picture of an everyday person off the internet and say, oh yeah, that's me. So one of the first things you can do is take their profile picture and Google search on it. Do a reverse search on it, so you can see if it's just a random Getty image that they're using. Yeah, and what I was saying about, they're always trying to trigger sympathy and empathy. Like, if they'll be like, "Oh yeah, my child's in the last year of school," or they'll be like, "Yeah, oh, my spouse died a year ago, I'm looking for love, my spouse died. Or they'll be like, yeah, I started a new job, it's really difficult, I don't know anyone in this area. Like they always have some, like, like they're just always looking for a sympathy vote, basically. And also, as well, little do you know, that's an emerging crisis. So they just giving you that story because in a couple of days they're now going to say, oh, my house got flooded, the kids needs to, to be taken out. Is LDR their name? Obviously, don't put their name out here, but that's really good. 8 months. Yeah, I'm very Evan McShannock. I'm very happy for you, and obviously, we all want to find love. Like everybody wants to find love. We all want the best for people. You know, and I'm glad that I'm glad that LDR is, that it's going well. Um, long distance romance. Dating long distance romance for this is just advice for people that are vulnerable, and this is just advice for people that maybe don't have anyone to talk to about it, or maybe are just embarrassed to ask people about it. Because when I started dating my husband, I was studying, like I was a student. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that people can never give each other money. That's not real. That's not real life. However, however, there are people that, ugh, yeah, yeah, exactly. So you are both being careful of each other, and from it seems like you're very good, like with technology. This live is for people that might not be as confident, or may not be as just may not be as good with technology as they can be. There's definitely safety nets. You're right. You're right. Can you suggest one of the safety nets? I mean, I'm not saying that every relationship people get into online is a scam, it's a scam. I know lots of people that found their partner through a dating app. I know lots of people, you know. So I'm not like saying you can't find love online. However, the people that are going through bad experiences are too embarrassed to talk about it, and like they're ashamed to to bring it up. So I'm putting information out there for people that, you know, maybe they got burnt online and they just need some extra support. However, we acknowledge that they're not gonna come and ask us for help. So I'm just putting this out there for those people. Video calls, call randomly, make sure dialogue is open. Never be. Yeah, that's really good. So thank you, Evan. Evan McShannock. Video calls, call randomly, make sure dialogue is open. Never be afraid to bring up suspicion. It helps clear things up. That's really good, and thanks for your experience, and I'm glad it's going well. I think also that a good point that Evan has just made indirectly is that you will have negative conversations. Like it's normal within a relationship for, you know, to have difficult conversations with each other. And that can be another sign of a romance scam, because they're always trying to make you happy and they've never really got any pushback on anything, you know. So obviously, I'm not saying that you can't find love. I'm not saying that there aren't any genuine people online. I mean, I've made lots of friends online. You know, to this day, I have friends that I've never met in person. I've only ever met them online, and a couple of them I have ended up meeting them online, like offline. But a lot of them I've never met them. A couple of them I've even met abroad, you know, because we were always friends online, and I finally met them abroad. My partner met them as well. So yeah, there's definitely genuine people online, 100%. I'm genuine. 100% arguments and bad days happen. Exactly. And I think one of the good things about arguments, I would say, is that you get to learn about somebody's thought process. So if me and my partner are having an argument and I'm like, what? You know, when you're arguing, you're like, what? And then they're like, yeah, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, no, no, no. But you're actually getting to learn about the way the other person thinks. So I think arguments are good because you actually get into someone's head. Like, you may not agree with their thought process. You'd be like, huh? But then it's another way to learn about each other. But yeah, thank you, Evan. That's really good. Congratulations. Um, I'm glad things are going well for you. And it sounds like you're both very sensible people, and I'm really glad. That's really good. But yeah, you're right. Arguments and bad days do happen. And I think it's healthy because you don't want one person to be afraid of ever disagreeing with the other person. But yeah, 100% you are right. Um, yes, what I was saying is that people, yeah, um, yes, okay, so this is another point. If people if somebody is online looking for, like, actively looking for love, some people find love online just by, like, coincidence. It just happens that way, you know. But if somebody is actively looking for love online, I believe that in itself can make you vulnerable. Because say if I was to go on a dating app looking for a partner, potentially people on the app know that I am looking for a partner, and that could possibly make me vulnerable to, some dodgy people. You know, some people might, people, yeah, like, it's a mess. But some people use mind games. You know, some people are professional con artists. You got professional con artists. They know the psychology behind scamming people. They're playing mind games. You know, some people may ask for money and then start increasing the pressure, or they might do reverse psychology and they might say, I've got no food. And then you'll be like, oh, let me give you some money. And then they'll be like, no, it's okay. I don't want you to send me any money for food. I don't want you to think that I'm a scam artist. Then you'll be like, no, 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 take the money. But like, well, actually, if you're going to send me money, maybe send me this amount. So, sometimes it's reverse psychology, sometimes it's mind games. Don't give your address to these people until you know they're genuine. And even then, probably don't give them the address. Um, yeah, so those are the flags. But then, like Evan was saying, Evan gave the advice, long distance relationship. Evan's been dating for 8 months. He's been doing video calls. He can call her out of the blue, which is sensible. These are green flags. Never asks for money. Yeah, and initially, he was suspicious, but that's been resolved. It's going great. She was also suspicious of me too. which is very good. She sounds very, very smart. Um, yeah, so there's a lot out there. You know, Evan spoke of arguments and bad days, and in any relationship, you get good days and bad days. Don't believe the hype. Both parties need to be comfortable enough to air their opinions, which is sometimes, you know, opposites, which is fine. That's the beauty of life. But yeah, so those are the red flags. If you're unfamiliar on social media, you're not sure how everything works. You're not sure. Like I personally, there's some AI that I cannot tell is AI. I believe, like, if you look at their fingers, sometimes they get their fingers wrong. So that can be a telltale sign. If you're watching an image and, like, if you're watching a video of somebody and you're not sure if you're watching an actual person or if it's an AI person, I heard that their fingers can give it away, or just different things can give them away. If you look at their background, like physically, if you look behind them and how they interact, how they walk, how they talk, eye contact, there's little things that gives away an AI image. But you've got some really, really, really good AI out there. But I'm not the greatest with spotting AI, although I do try to. But if I can see their fingers, that's always a good sign, because that's a good giveaway. But if you're not sure about what you're looking at, if you're not sure if it's and again, I mean, if you meet somebody online, if you're, if you meet somebody online, if you're working towards having a relationship with them, they are going to put their best foot forward, and they are going to try and be as nice as they can. That's just normal, that they try and be nice to you. Everybody wants to put their best foot forward at the beginning of a relationship. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when somebody creates a fake persona. So say if I met somebody online and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm a lawyer. I've got a case in the Supreme Court next week. You know, I was in court in Miami last week." That's creating a fake persona. Or I'm widowed with two children. It's creating a fake persona, as opposed to just trying to create a good impression, make a great first impression. That is fine. That's normal. It's just when people start deceiving people with false information. So again, um, I hope that's been helpful. Um, have your boundaries, definitely have your boundaries. Don't ever give away money that you can't afford to lose. Okay? Don't ever give away money that you cannot afford to lose. Um, yeah, so that's it really. I'm not saying there's no love online, because I know lots of people that have met online, met on dating apps, and they're going strong. But this is just some support for people that are vulnerable to being scammed. We can all be scammed. We're all potential victims of a scam. No one's above it. But, this is just to help people, that may be finding things difficult, that may have questions in their mind, that, maybe a bit, that may have been burnt before. Because what happens is, when some people get the money, they just disappear, they're just ghosts, you don't hear from them again. And as well as it being quite annoying, disappointing, for some people it can actually be heartbreaking, because some people may have believed that they were in a genuine relationship. So, if you do get scammed and the person just disappears, it, as well as the violation of the scam, it's also it also can be heartbreaking. But if you are in such a situation, make sure you report it to the platform owners. So whoever the platform belongs to, make sure you report it to them. Potentially report it to the police. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because when we're all kids, we get told not to speak to strangers. Oh, don't speak to strangers. Be careful of strangers. You know, that's what we're all taught as children. And now we're older. I feel like strangers is a different concept now, because you do meet strangers online. I'm a stranger to a lot of you. However, you know, you can make you can get to know a stranger who then becomes a friend, and at some point, all your friends were strangers. So it's a it's a fine line to walk, because obviously, we all want to speak to different people. We all want to get to know new people. We want to broaden our horizons, want to be open minded, talk to people, learn about different cultures and different backgrounds. But then also, we need to be mindful of strangers that are trying to rip us off or harm us or steal from us. There's still strangers out there that we need to be careful of. So it's a fine line. And of course, we're strangers to other people. So people need to be careful of us until they get to know us and are comfortable. So that's my life on romance scams. I've seen a couple of things online that I've been seeing things online about people that have lost their retirement money, their pension money, you know, thousands and thousands of pounds. People getting targeted because they're elderly or because they're vulnerable in whichever capacity. The rate of loneliness in this day and age, and what it can lead to. I've been reading about young people being exploited, being blackmailed with pictures, and you know, yeah, there's a lot of there, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and when I started doing lives, to be honest with you, I was very surprised at the amount of children that were in my lives. I just thought, you know, and I always try and tell them, be careful out here, be careful online, you know, just be careful online. So, just seeing different things that's happening, um, you know, different arrests that have been made for different things, people being exploited, you know, just and also as well, what stood out to me is the fact that the figures for the number of romance scam victims has like tripled or something. I don't have the exact figures, but you can look it up. The amount of victims of romance scam has increased dramatically, and furthermore, most victims do not report the scams. So we don't even have a true number, you know, of we don't even have the true number of victims of romance scams. We do not have a true number. We only have the tip of the iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg has increased massively, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. And it's the type of scenario where when someone's been scammed, they feel embarrassed and or ashamed to tell anybody. And so people in those types of situations, we need to put the information out there to help them, because clearly they may not speak up and tell us about what's happened. So we need to be proactive, and we need to put the information out there. So yeah, so that's what's led me to do the two lives today. The live that I done earlier on is for younger people, children between the age of 10 and 18. And this one is probably for, older people, people that are not familiar or confident with technology. However, things are so different now, because before, just to make friends, to start a relationship, it would be so easy just to go out and actually meet somebody, in church or at a party, at a wedding, in a pub, you know, on a night out. But more and more, more and more now, sorry, that's terrible English, but people are meeting online now a lot more than before. And so, I mean, I've made friends with people just on the road. People just start talking to me, or there might be a shared incident or a shared experience, and now we're all friends. You know, but more and more now people are meeting online, and so people that may not be comfortable or familiar with being online are getting caught up in different scams. So we really need to look out for them. And I just thought I'd make this live to support people. If anyone's, at any time, just to let you guys know, at any time you can reach out to me if you're involved in any type of scams, or if you've been a victim of any sextortion or anything like that. You can reach out to me anytime. I'll be happy to support you. Or if you need advice, or if you want me, if you want me to do some research for you. I remember when I was like a teenager, and a guy used to try and talk to me. I would get my best friend to call him, and pretend to, like, I just used to do some madness anyway. Like, say if a guy gave me his number and asked me to call him, I would ask my best friend to call him and pretend to be the girl he's talking to. So yeah, so so I remember, yeah, you probably don't get what I mean, but if like when I was a teenager, if a guy gave me a number and I was interested, but I wasn't sure about him, I would give his number to my best friend and say to her, "Oh, call him and see like what he's on. Call him and see what he's on." And so she would call him and be like, "Ugh," and then she would tell me what he responded, and then that would be the basis of whether or not I would take things further. But it just sounds so childish. But I'm quite a suspicious person. I like to do these things to check people out, make sure they're legit. But yeah, so if you want me to do that for you, if you're not sure about somebody, you want me to check them out, you want me to research them for you, I'll be more than happy to do that. Because there's a lot of people getting away with things that they should not be getting away with. But yeah, at any time, feel free. Or if somebody's trying to blackmail you online, if somehow they got your pictures and they're telling you that they want you to pay them money so they don't, let me know. Let me know. Yeah? All right. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my live. I hope it's been helpful for you. My Instagram, oh, my Instagram is my Instagram. I'm into mines if I should tell you guys, but my Instagram is CECILEFOSU. That's CECILEFOSU, and it's private, so I'm gonna have to like accept or I'm gonna have to accept you if you request to follow. But yeah, if you want to contact me directly, if you're found yourself in any type of situation, be rest assured that you are not alone. There's always a way out. Just know that there's always a way out. Things are going to get better. Do not feel like this is what your life has come to. No, you've got your whole life ahead of you. You've got your whole life ahead of you, and you've got so much to offer. Okay, this is just a blip. Like, this is just, a small incident. We all have these things happen to us in life. We don't all talk about it, but we all go through this. So if you find yourself in a situation that you're uncomfortable with, or if you would like further support, you can go to my Instagram, which is CECILEFOSU. Okay, so that's the end of my live. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for joining me. Also, as well, there's no victim blaming here. We're not here to blame any victims. We're here to support and give information. So hopefully, these type of things don't you don't go through again. What I would say is definitely tell somebody, talk to somebody. Do not isolate yourself. If you're uncomfortable with anything, just block the person. If you've sent pictures and you're worried about pictures being out there, just know that it's not worth paying that person, because if you pay them, they're just going to ask for more money, and they might release the pictures anyway. Do not pay them. Do not pay them. Honestly, if it's that scenario, do not pay them. And there's ways that these people can be tracked. They're not the only hackers in the world. There's ways that they can be tracked. Trust me. Yeah. Call the police as well. But also as well, like, if all of us, if we all decide not to be judgmental, and we all decide not to, victim blame or make people feel, we shouldn't, make people feel afraid to share these negative experiences that they've had online. So the other side of it is that the rest of us need to create a safe space for people, that they can open up to us about these instances, about these situations. So so if we decide to create a safe space, not be judgmental, you know, seek to support people, seek to validate their feelings, seek to listen to their experiences. For some people that are based in the UK, if you call Samaritans, you can get support on the telephone, and they'll also be able to signpost you to where you can access even more support. If you have been through anything online that's been quite traumatic for you, make sure that you do report the people to the platform that you've met them on. Definitely report them on the platform, and also talk to somebody about it as well. Don't isolate yourself, because this can cause anxiety, sleepless nights, hyperventilation. So definitely talk to somebody in regards to what you've been through. And these are criminal acts, and there are ways to report these criminals. Basically, there are possible repercussions for them. So that will be all. Thank you once again for joining us, and I hope it's been helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll just stay for a couple more minutes, make it up to an hour. Yeah, feel free to put it in the chat if you have any questions. I'll be going in 5 minutes, so if you want to say anything. No? No? Okay, so I'll be off. And Evan McShannock, thank you for your contribution. Much appreciated, and all the best in your relationship. Sounds like it's going really, really well. And thank you for joining once again. Take care. Bye.